69 News Special Report.
And thank you for joining us once again for this special report. I'm Rob Vaughn. We want to bring you an update on the large explosion that leveled a single-story home in Allentown today. The blast happened just after 1 o'clock this afternoon. Take a look from high above. You see the field of debris there where there was once a house in the 1300 block of St. John Street near Lehigh Parkway. We're being told the explosion may have been sparked by a gas leak. Dozens of callers to our 69 newsroom report hearing the explosion and feeling its impact in various parts of the city. WFMZ's Jackie Shutack was first on the scene, and she's joining us live with the latest. Jackie?
Hey, Rob, as you can see behind me, the house is completely leveled, demolished. The initial call came in at 1:17. Firefighters responded to a home explosion phone call, 911 call. One victim they discovered was right on top of the rubble. It was easy to get him out. He had said that he believed his brother was inside of the home, and when firefighters and paramedics searched, sure enough, they found him in the basement. They were able to extricate him. It took about 15 minutes or so to get him out of the building. He had minor injuries. Let's take a look at some of the video that we shot earlier in the day. That second victim had some minor injuries. Both men transported to the hospital with scrapes and bruises. Pretty remarkable that there was nothing more serious. Now, the investigation continues. Firefighters say that when they arrived on the scene, it smelled like natural gas. The homes on either side were affected. Both are deemed structurally incapable of having owners in them, so the residents of both homes cannot stay in their homes this evening. We spoke with one woman who lives in the house next door. She told us what she felt.
Just as I stood up, the house shook and everything, and I thought maybe a plane or something came down, and I went to the kitchen and saw our side of our house was blown out, and everything, the cabinets were open, everything was blown out of the cabinets.
Now, as a precaution, the gas has been shut off in the neighborhood. Gas crews are here in the area investigating. Neighbors on either side, as I said earlier, cannot stay in these homes tonight. No one else remarkably living anywhere around these homes, Rob, was injured.
Jackie, amazing that these two men who live there are okay. One was in the basement. The other was where? Where did they find him?
They found him right on top of the rubble, in fact. He had a couple of boards on top of him.
And just those two fellows lived there, or what else do we know about who lived in this home?
I'm sorry, Rob?
These two fellows, were they the only ones who lived in this home?
They were the only two inside the home. Neighbors tell us that their mother also lived with them and that she was probably out getting rehabilitation at the time. Her wheelchair, remarkably, was found inside of a tree on top of the house. Inside
of a tree? Oh, my. Well, this is a part of the story. A key part of it, I guess, is that these two men were not injured, at least not serious. And it's kind of amazing when you look at how flattened this area is. The homes next door, were they both occupied?
The houses next door were, in fact, occupied. We spoke with one woman who told us she was home baking pizza in the oven, and she felt the explosion. She thought that a plane came down, she said. But remarkably, these people were not injured. The home on the other side houses a daycare. No children, no one was injured in this explosion. Well,
not much to be thankful for today. Thank you very much, Jackie, for the report. We'll talk to you later on. So to recap, a large explosion possibly sparked by a gas leak, and as Jackie said, when crews arrived on the scene, they did smell natural gas. The explosion leveled the house there on St. John. Two people taken to the hospital, the two men who lived there, but not serious injuries, apparently, and the neighbor told Jackie that the two lived there with their mother, who was in a wheelchair, and they don't believe the woman was at home at the time, so she's okay. The blast was just after 1 o'clock. Again, that's the 1300 block of St. John Street near Lehigh Parkway, and an explosion heard for miles around in Allentown, but fortunately no serious injuries. We'll have an update next hour and, of course, a full report on 69 News at 5. See you then. And you can get information anytime you need it at WFMZ.com. I'm Rob Vaughn. See you next hour.
This is a 69 News Special Report.
And thank you for joining us once again for the special report. I'm Rob Vaughn. We have been covering a developing story all afternoon. A large explosion has leveled a house in Allentown, and I don't know if miracle is too strong a word, but the house is gone and the two men who were inside it are okay. Let's take a look from high above. St. John Street in Allentown, 1300 block. It's near Lehigh Parkway. A single home, as you can see, gone. We're told this explosion that leveled the house may have been sparked by a gas leak. That's not confirmed yet. The blast was felt over a wide area in the city. As I mentioned, two men, two brothers, were inside the home at the time. We have live team coverage, starting with WFMZ Jackie Shutack with the very latest from the scene. And Jackie, I understand you have the names of the victims and some word on how they're doing at the hospital.
We've learned their names are Miguel Irizarry and Cesar Cotto. They're both brothers. They're both being treated at Lehigh Valley Hospital. Take a look at some of this video from earlier today. Just after 1:15, the explosion happened. The firefighters arrived and they said they smelled natural gas on the scene. Both victims were rescued quickly. One brother on top of the house. The other was found in a basement. It took about 15 minutes to rescue the second one. As you can see from this video, the home is completely destroyed. The houses on either side have been deemed structurally unsafe, so those homeowners will not be able to spend any time in those houses. The investigation does continue at this time, Rob, but for now, the house is completely demolished. Two victims being treated at Lehigh Valley Hospital. Rob.
All right, Jackie, thanks very much for the update on that information. And kind of amazing as you see the house gone there, just wiped out. And if you were to go to our website right now, in fact, you can find a photo of the house, as you just saw in the video, gone, and a Google photo from above of that neighborhood when the house still existed. And you can see those two side by side and see the damage that's been done. And now we go back to the scene for Joscelyn Moes. She's standing by live with some eyewitness reaction. Joscelyn.
Rob, the explosion was felt not only in this neighborhood where I'm standing right now, but also blocks from here. Take a look behind me. This is all that's left of the house. Debris is everywhere. Glass, wood, insulation, it's strewn all over the place. And get this, take a look across the street. In the neighbor's yard, you can see is the garage door from the house. It blew across the street and is now laying in the yard of a neighbor. If we could take a look at some video that was shot just moments after the explosion. Everyone we talked with out here said basically the same thing. Their homes literally shook. One gentleman who lives across the street said he had several clocks just blow off the wall. We talked with one man who lived right next door to the house that exploded. He and his wife run a daycare center out of their home. He tells us what he experienced.
Went to go open the refrigerator. Next thing you know, I heard something like an atomic bomb or something, like boom, and I went to my knees. And I turned around, and the window and the side of my house was like shattered in.
And as we were talking about debris, I don't know if you can see it right there, strewn in between the branches is a wheelchair. It's a wheelchair from the home that exploded. It went up into the tree and is now stuck in that tree. You can see it right there. Again, this is just an incredible scene. And just moments ago, we heard from that homeowner. And as I mentioned, he runs a daycare center out of his home. He said after the explosion, he came out, saw what was going on. He had to evacuate his home and took the kids from that daycare to another home in the neighborhood. Rob?
Joscelyn, can you hear me all right? I don't know if you have information about this or not, but last hour we remarked that the two men apparently care for their mother who uses that wheelchair. That is presumably the connection to the wheelchair, right? That she uses one and that was in the house. And tell me about her as well. She's not home, I assume.
Right. We had heard from neighbors that she was in some sort of rehabilitation in the area when the explosion occurred. But that's what we're hearing. The brothers cared for their mother, and that was her wheelchair.
Amazing. Joscelyn, thank you very much. We will see you next hour. And just to recap now, a large explosion, possibly sparked by a gas leak, has leveled that home on St. John Street near Lehigh Parkway in Allentown. Two adult brothers who lived there survived the blast, though the house, as you saw, was wiped out. They are being treated at the hospital right now. Neighbors say the men's mother, who lives there also, was not home at the time. And amazing, isn't it, that the wheelchair is up in a tree. She uses a wheelchair. Fortunately, she was not home. The two neighboring houses were damaged. The residents there are now displaced. People felt and heard the impact of this explosion for miles around in the city of Allentown. Dozens of calls came into our newsroom to talk to us about what people saw and felt. There's debris scattered around the neighborhood. One of our 69 News producers, in fact, lives in an apartment complex not far from here and felt the whole building shake. We'll have full coverage for you on the news at 5 and updates anytime you want them at WFMZ.com, including a lot of the good links to aerial and ground video. And as I mentioned before, just posted a Google video, aerial video satellite shot of that neighborhood with the house there, juxtaposed with a photo from our aerials today with the house wiped out. This has been a 69 News Special Report. I'm Rob Vaughn. Thanks for joining us. We'll now return you to our regularly scheduled programming, and we'll see you with full coverage at 5 o'clock.